About 10 years ago, one of my biggest desires of my heart, one of my biggest dreams in my 20s was to travel to the South Pole, to go to Antarctica. Now, if you would ask me back then, what is truly your heart's desire? What do you want to do? If you don't care for the financial situation, if you don't care about the money you have, what people say, your circumstances, what is it that you want to do? If the Almighty God would be before you asking you, what is it that you want? What is it truly in your heart? And my answer, the honest to God answer, was I really want to go to Antarctica. That was my heart's burning desire. And however, because I was a PhD student, I couldn't afford too much back then. I began to rationalize away my desire because basically my mind saw it as impossible. I can't do that. I don't see how it's possible. And there is a problem with this statement because I don't see how it's possible. It simply means you are not trusting God to give you the desires of your heart as He did promise. In the book of Psalms, He said, delight yourself in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. It's not you who you are supposed to make it happen. He promised, the Almighty Creator of the universe, Almighty God promised to give you the desires of your heart if you delight yourself in a relationship, in a fellowship with Him, if you obey His voice, if you obey His calling, if you obey His promptings in your spirit. He promised to give you the desires of your heart. So I couldn't see how to go about Antarctica. So what I've done is I rationalized it away and I dismissed it for a while, for a season, and I tried to go to the North Pole, go to the Arctic islands, closer to Europe, because I myself could see how it's possible. It was cheaper, it was closer, maybe it will work. However, as I attempted to go about doing these expeditions, these projects, they didn't work. Nothing that I attempted to go to the North Pole worked. And eventually I gave up and I said, truly, in my heart of hearts, Antarctica is what I really want. So I set about going after my dream. And I have tried everything. I have tried reaching out to companies, to organizations, to research organizations, to universities, to student associations, all sorts of things that truly my spirit was not bearing witness to. I was not really wanting, I didn't really want to do what those opportunities are offering. And I spent about maybe half a year or more attempting things that my spirit didn't bear witness with, and they all failed. They didn't work. Eventually, what I've done is the last thing on the list was what was in my heart. And back then, my passion was photography. It was the easiest, the most simple thing for me to do. Photography. I was enjoying it. It was my heart's desire and my passion to go about taking pictures. And only as a last resort, I went about doing photography. And the moment I used photography as a means to go to Antarctica, everything began to happen, doors began to open, and it was the most amazing, extraordinary expedition. And my dreams to sail to the South Pole became a reality. I tell this story, the whole process, in my book, The Pursuit of Dreams. But here's the lesson. The lesson is that when God puts a dream in your heart, when He calls you, He draws you to do something, He will also show you the way step by step. So don't go after what you think it's possible, but obey His voice, obey His spirit, because what He puts in your spirit, He will also make sure that He will grant you if you follow through with the process. Step by step along the way, He will show you which way to go, because He promised to ordain your steps, but you have to get going. So when you have the first thing that you have in your heart to do, take that step. After you take that step, He will begin to ordain your steps of the process until your dream becomes a reality. So step by step obey what the Spirit is telling you. Get to work, do what you know how to do in this moment, and obedience after obedience after obedience to the Spirit, to the voice of God in your heart, will give you the desire of your heart. Now, if you attempt things like I have attempted so many things that didn't work, the tendency is you will be frustrated. You will be getting angry. You will say, well, nothing is working, I'm failing, what's going on? Remember, several times in the Bible, God says that God's way is perfect. So the way of the Lord is perfect. And His blessing doesn't add any sorrow to it. So if you're attempting things that are failing, don't despair, because that's a good thing, because they are not the best thing for you. God has prepared a perfect way, has prepared the best way for you to achieve your dreams, and that way doesn't add any sorrow to it. The moment you take matters into your own hands, you begin to add sorrow to it. But if you trust God to give you the desires of your heart, you do the work, you do the hard work, step by step by step, you obey, but you don't try to force it. And that way, his way is perfect. So as you go after the desires of your heart, as you obey and you do the work, keep in mind, when things don't work, God has a better way. And God's way is always perfect. High above, where He looks upon you from heaven, He sees the whole picture. He sees the whole plan. And as you go about, He begins to ordain and to arrange your steps. So if He closes doors along the way, don't despair, because that is the perfect way. If you walk in obedience, to His voice, His way to the fulfillment of your dream is the best and the perfect way for you.